I'm delighted to introduce this afternoon on the programme a lady from Wales called Kris Davies. And Kris, you are the therapist's therapist.
I certainly am. I certainly am.
So you're a mindset coach, and you work primarily with healers, therapists, and people who are awakened. So what does that mean?
For me, I was a therapist, speech therapist, holistic therapist for many, many years, and ended up with burnout and fibromyalgia, arthritis, and I started going to coaching because there was no other way at the time. I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't do anything. So someone said, go into coaching. So I started in coaching, but of course the fibromyalgia completely took over my life. And then I developed understanding about the fibromyalgia, what was going on for me, and through the different things I was learning, and I was able to get rid of it. And so I now coach healers, therapists, awakened women, because we forget about ourselves. We're so on a mission to help others that very often we forget about ourselves, and in doing so can lead to all sorts of ailments, issues, blocks, burnout, because we don't put ourselves first, because we're natural nurturers, and therefore it's more important to put others first. And this was my understanding. So I've developed a system whereby I help others put in daily rituals, work on their mindset. I do a form of hypnotherapy called RTT, which is Rapid Transformational Therapy, which was invented by Marissa Peer. So I combine all those different skills along with my passion for crystals and aromatherapy oils and various other tools to help people learn to heal themselves and put themselves first. And that's the main thing of it. But also as therapists and healers, one of the biggest blocks that they come across then is, right, I have these fantastic abilities, I don't want to charge too much because I want to help everybody. So I help again with the money mindset side of it. So therefore they're putting all their gifts together and charging what they're worth in order so they can live their life at the best level in a healthy way, so they can give their best and live life on their terms. So that's so it's been an incredible transformation for me, and I just want to help as many, I say women, it's women primarily, but obviously there's men that are healers as well. But women is the main thing for me, because women tend to hold back. They are natural nurturers. So, but also it's about having that voice and stating, this is the life I want. So it's all about being who they want to be and being not so much proud of it, but confident enough to go out there and live the life they want.
So everything that you've said, Kris, resonates so much with me. All of the people that I mentor through cancer and towards recovery, nearly every single one of them have had some kind of burnout situation, whether it's an emotional burnout or a physical one or whatever. And so many of them will then come out the other side and then turn themselves into healers because they've been healed by XYZ. And exactly as you say, the money side of things, I couldn't possibly charge people, and so on and so forth. And I've had exactly the same dilemma, and I've had a word with myself, and I've now created a program which is my will be my income generator, my Perfect 10 wellness program. But my cancer mentoring, I'm still keeping on a voluntary basis because I just can't bring myself to charge people with the condition.
Mm.
So that's how I've kind of got around it. But so many people who are healers, I've interviewed, I don't know how many now for this program, and without hesitation, I would say 99.99 recurring percent of them have all become healers because they have had a story, they've been healed, and now want to help other people. So as you were saying, the sharing, caring, and they're all women, but I think I've had interview 3 men, but apart from that, they're all women.
Yes, and in fact, I had a lady the other day that I helped. I started mentoring her with, and she had RTT, and I've been mentoring her since. And because she's had this incredible transformation from a lifetime of food issues, yes, she carried weight, but it was actually more about her desperate need to eat at a certain time, and it was controlling her life. Her actual, the food that she was eating was incredibly healthy, but it was the mindset behind it that this control, and we've got rid of it, and it completely controlled her life. And she's now decided that I want to do this for other people, and which is incredible. It's amazing. So, but straight away people think that they've got to go and get more qualifications. And so I'm about, right, let's have a look what you've already got. You've already gone through a healing process yourself. So therefore, you've learned, you've come out the other side. So let's look at that, put it together, and offer what you've done already to other people. And she got it. And she got it straight away. So she's really excited the minute. She's, she's going to put all the toolkit together now to help other people. And yes, if she wants to go on and learn more things, she can. But at the start, it's not so important. That's just further in your development, isn't it? So, and it's working with people, you learn more and you learn the next step, and therefore you can feed back to your clients. So I'm all about understanding that what you've gone through will help you to take you to where you want to be. So for me, the fibromyalgia journey, it was a painful one, but I'm a true believer that I was given that for a reason.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
I've learned and what it learned. So one of the first things I did when I realized I was creating it was I had to learn to understand what it was teaching me. And when I got that, I was able to start the process of, right, so I believe everything is given to us for a reason, good or bad, whatever you would want to call it. And it's about learning from it and moving forward, deciding you're going to learn from it and move forward. The mindset, the whole mind is fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. But combining that then with crystal work, the oil work, and all the other bits and pieces, it just gives the whole thing for me anyway.
Absolutely. So you were saying about people having a story, and people don't realize the strength and depth that their story has to carry them through. And what better person to teach other people than somebody who's gone through whatever the challenge is, because firsthand, and what has worked for you may not necessarily work for somebody else, but you're speaking your truth, aren't you, from your own perspective.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, it comes down to, yes, my way might not help everyone, but same as somebody else's. But then, of course, it comes about to speaking to the right people that understand you and get you. And if they're on the same wavelength, then it's a lot easier. So if you've got someone that's resisting everything, then okay, so I might not be the right person. Not everybody gets mindset, but when you've gone through such an incredible transformation, like myself, like yourself, and the things I've seen since, it is just mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And the mind believes everything you tell it, and it creates everything you want. So by simply, and I say simply in a loosely really, but by changing our habits, our thoughts, and the words that we say about ourselves, and reframing that, has a huge impact on your day-to-day life. And when I got that, it's, oh my goodness, even after I had the session for RTT for fibromyalgia, I realized the next day, I woke up a different person the next day, and I then became aware that I actually was saying to myself, oh, I better not do that because that's going to hurt me. I better not do this. Oh, right, let's stop now. So let's say what I want. And yes, at the end of the day, I can't say I'm cured, because I'm aware my mind can create it. If I really wanted it, I could get it back. Do I? No, I don't want it back. But I'm very aware that my mind now has that ability to do that. So on a couple of occasions afterwards, when it sort of popped up to say hello, and in a very small way, I had the knowledge then to say, basically, tell it where to go. And that was it. So but it's all about putting in consistent daily mindset habits and the various tools into place to keep that going. And of course, we're made up of masses of limiting beliefs and masses of coping mechanisms. So it's not just one thing, is it? There's something else will pop up and something else. So it's learning that we can handle it and learn that we can deal with these things and build that resilience muscle for day-to-day, coping with day-to-day life, basically.
Exactly. The limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves are quite ridiculous, aren't they, when we kind of take a step back and look? But a lot of the limiting beliefs actually aren't ours. They've been imposed on us through our upbringing and environment, culture, all that kind of thing. But I think a big part of it, as you alluded to with the mindset, is intention. What is our intention? And I've learned that not everybody actually wants to get better. Some people hide behind the condition. So no matter what you say, either you could say, oh, well, I'm not the right person for you. It could be the person actually, it doesn't want to hear the message of what to do, regardless of who they see. And quite often I hear about people going from this practitioner to that practitioner, and I think, oh yes, I know what you're up to. But they when you challenge them, they get most indignant about it. And well, of course I want to get better, but very often though, that means they won't then be the centre of the limelight.
That's right.
Are they behind the scenes?
Yes.
I chuckle to myself, which is a bit unkind, I suppose, really. But I've got sort of wise to it these days, and I won't spend my time. I'll give people benefit of the doubt, but they'll only get it once from me.
Well, and that's right. And it is deciding that you don't want to work with those clients because they're not as aware of you, and they just haven't learned that bit yet. So it's all part of the learning process, I think. And I'll be honest, my first major penny drop was when I went to my doctor and I told her, I put my cards on the table and I said, right, I can't cope with this condition anymore. I had tried every painkiller they'd thrown at me. I tried every alternative thing, so it seemed at the time, throw at me, which would help me. But it got to the point it was getting worse. Every day was getting worse and worse and worse. So I was bedridden. And I went to her and I said, I can't do this anymore. And I was about to say to myself, I'm giving in. And which I couldn't understand because that wasn't me, but I just didn't know what else to do. And her words to me I had this conversation with her earlier, actually, and her words to me were, Kris, you're very aware of your body. And I looked at her, my initial thought was, oh, you think, and she's going to be listening to this, so I better be careful what I say. So she said, Kris, and I thought, she thinks I'm a hypochondriac. You know, I'm making this up. And I came home and I was a little bit disillusioned. And the penny dropped and I thought, oh my God, I am. And because the work I was learning at the time as well, and I thought, I am aware, but she didn't mean that. The fact is, I am now aware that I was creating it myself. And why is that? So I needed to get the root cause of why that was, so I could let it go. And now I am so grateful to her for actually saying that. But many people, if you'd said that to me probably a few months before, I wouldn't have got that. So it is that understanding of that we are a result of what we create for ourselves. But for me, fibromyalgia, when I was regressed, it actually went back to when I was 2 years old, and my mind at that time decided I needed a health issue because it got me attention. And you're going to get the attention of your parents and so on that you really want and that you crave, because children, we don't always see things through an adult's eyes, so we don't always get what's going on. So if I had something, then I will get noticed. And what happens is it doesn't always appear then. It's when you get older and something happens in your life. So we're building coping mechanisms as a child, but as we get older in life, something triggers that one memory that we can't understand where it's come from again, and up pops what your mind decided it wanted to give you to protect you. And my mind was trying to protect me from something, and therefore gave me fibromyalgia. And the link was when every time, so I was doing more and more of my coaching, I was getting more and more noticed. So I was in the limelight. So I was going to networking events and I was saying, oh yeah, I do this, I do that. I was asked to speak at events, and every time that happened, the fibromyalgia was getting worse. And I just knew beforehand I'd end up having to cancel because of fibromyalgia. So I was cutting out the middleman. I was actually going there, having to cancel it beforehand. You could guarantee the fibromyalgia was getting worse and worse. And my mind was saying, as I was unaware at the time, if you actually go there and stand, who are you to say you are able to do these things? You're going to show up as stupid. You're not going to be able to say what you want to say, and therefore put in the limelight of being judged, you're not going to be able to say what you want to say anyway. So why bother going? So my mind created something so I didn't need to go. And when I worked that out and released it, I got rid of it. And I like to say it was just as simple as that, but it was a mixture of things, but that was the main thought process, but a lot of people don't get. But it's proven to me now time and time again with different people I've worked with, and I've worked with various things, including, I think, apart from the health things, I've helped a lady have a baby who tried for 9 years, and she's had her baby now, and that is just, I know, it's just incredible. She had the worst pregnancy, I think, in history, mind bless her, but she had her baby, and that was from having endometriosis and told she couldn't have a baby, and she got pregnant the first month.
Yeah.
I know. So, we are a result of everything we create for ourselves. So, but we don't always know what it is. So it's about taking that control back and take that power back.
You mentioned going back till you were 2 years old and the thought that you had there, and that sort of started things off. Did somebody help you get to the 2-year-old, or was it working through yourself?
Excuse me. No, I had someone do RTT on me. So you can do it for yourself, but at that time I was still learning RTT. So my coach, she's still my coach. She's in America, Becky Dixon in Boston. She said, right, let's do an RTT. So she's on her laptop in Boston. I was on my laptop in here on my treatment couch, and we did a session. And so in RTT, you put someone under hypnosis and you regress them back to a minimum of 3 times, where their mind knows they're holding the root cause of what's going on. And one of my memories was going back to when I was 2-year-old. And but what happens then is you learn to understand why, and why your mind has decided to latch onto those different things, and you piece it together, piece the different memories together, the scenes, and it's linked to what's going on now. But then you take the control back. So it's called dialogue. You can do something, it varies from client to client, but you can do something called dialogue with the hurter. So you literally are tapping into subconscious mind so for me it was at that time, but also for a client, and they are dialoguing with the person that has hurt them. And this can be so they take their control back. They can say what they want to say to this person, even though they're not in the room, but they can say what they want to say, knowing they can't answer them back, and get things off their chest. But then they get a response off that person. So it's all about taking back control and saying what you want to say, which you couldn't do before, and generally as a child, because we're not big enough, or not able to stand up for ourselves as children. But this can be as something, obviously, I've dealt with people who have had really traumatic events and abusive events, as opposed to something as simple as one client, her brother pinched a dummy off her, and it was the end of the world in her head, but it's hit her later on in life and stopped her motivation in her business, and kept saying, this is silly, this is silly. And the words that were used at that time in that regression by her parents were, you're being silly, because her brother was taking this dummy off her. And so she could dialogue with her brother. It wasn't a traumatic thing, but for that little toddler, it was at the time. So it doesn't have to be anything, horrendous as we would think it, but as a child, it's how you perceive it. So you take the control back, and so in one session, you can get incredible transformation. And that's what happened to me. I had this full understanding of why I had it now, what it was linked to, the fibromyalgia, why I had that, what it was linked to, and I was able to let it go. And honestly, the next morning I woke up, so the biggest things for me for fibromyalgia was the pain, the all over body pain, the fatigue, and the brain fog. Those were the 3 main things. Obviously there's lots of bits and pieces with fibromyalgia, but those were the things where I couldn't cope with day-to-day life. And I literally woke up the next morning full of energy, no pain, and this fog literally lifted.
Wow, wonderful.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. So
the RTT, I've never heard of that. I've heard of so many different types of therapies, but RTT, so remind us what it stands for again.
Rapid Transformational Therapy.
And how did you come across it?
Through my coach, Becky Dixon. She delivering it to a number of us in a group program. that she was doing at the time, and I believe it was for money mindset. So you can use it for literally anything where you're blocked or stopped moving forward. And I thought, oh, I like this. I thought this would be really good for my coaching clients to get them past where they are. And so I started to learn it. And then as I learned it and learned more about what goes on with the mind, that is when Becky gave me this one-to-one session. But it's invented by a lady called Marissa Peer, who treats mainly celebrities and that now. She is an incredible woman. And who changed her life because she was, I believe, a psychologist. And then she was actually running aerobic classes for Jane Fonda in London and became aware of people there with anorexia and bulimia and putting things together. And she didn't want, and she was doing hypnotherapy. And because with general hypnotherapies, from my knowledge of understanding, is that it can take a few sessions to get you somewhere. And she said that she found that, it was painful for a client, so she wanted something fast. So this is how she put RTT together. And
regular hypnotherapy, you tend to go over the same thing again and again and again until you get to the core, and then the session finishes, and you have to have another session. So I understand, and then right. You're repeating the hurt, aren't you, all the time?
Yes, exactly. And then you might not have another appointment for another week. So that's going, going on and on and on and on. So this is literally 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and you do the whole process. And I think 99% of my clients who have just had RTT has only been one session that they've needed. So that I combine it with my coaching and with the different healing modalities. And I've got a program coming out this week where it's going to be a group program, but I'm delivering RTT in that, so over Zoom to several people. So you can do one-to-one, you can do it face-to-face, you can do it on here, or you can perform it on a whole, masses of people. It's brilliant, to be fair to it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Sounds absolutely perfect, and what so many people need. Fibromyalgia is increasing like there's no tomorrow, isn't it? And there's every street corner there's somebody that's got fibromyalgia. So well done to you. How do people find you, Kris? How do people get hold of you?
So I've got a website, which is krisdavies.com, and that's Kris, KrisDavies.com. That's my website, and then my Facebook page, which is also Kris Davies, which makes life easier. Those are my main places that you'll find me. I am on Instagram and that as well, but my Facebook page, and also I've got a Facebook group, which is called Grounded Goddesses.
Oh, Grounded Goddesses, right.
Grounded Goddesses, yes. Yes.
So KrisDavies.com, KrisDavies.
That's correct.
That's correct. Well, thank you for going through that with us this afternoon, Kris. 2 records you've chosen: Don't Stop Believing, which I think explains itself. I'm going to ask you why you chose it anyway, and I Am Light. So why have you chosen those 2 songs?
Well, to be honest, choosing the songs was probably the hardest bit, because there were so many things that, that sounds right. So I was trying to depict what from the things I've gone through and what have you. But Don't Stop Believing, I think it says it all, really. It's having that belief in you to keep going, to keep going forward, and not giving up. That's the most important. If I'd given up that day and given in, I don't know where I'd be really right now. Well, we can probably paint a picture. It would be quite different. So an I Am Light it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful song. It's all about the awakened self, and it's more about what I've learned and who I have become, and encourage others to do so, to help them get where they want to be, really.
Marvellous. Kris Davies, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
this song's coming up for you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.